Hey guys, look who's back. Welcome to Cromto Gaming. So I'm actually going to be kind of reinventing this channel a little bit. As you guys may have seen from the last video, that was a game I'm making at the moment. So I'm actually going into game development. I'm working with game development. I'm currently studying game development in college. So right now, actually, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to try and start doing. We all know how consistent I've been the last few years of videos, right? But instead of kind of going away from playing games a little bit, I'm going to go to working on games. So I'm going to start reading out sort of my problems and saving this as kind of like a devlog, essentially. I might throw up some little clips, stuff like that, but sometimes it might just be me talking a lot of the time. But yeah, so we're just going to get started. So this week was the week of the 7th of April 2019, and we're currently working on Piracy at the Gates. It's also a working title. Anyway, I'm going to kind of jump right into it because I don't want these videos to be too long. I want them to be kind of short, sweet, straight to the chase. I don't want to be spending hours discussing certain topics, certain fixes, and solutions and problems I'm having. I might do in the future, but right now, don't need to. So, alright, the first problem we actually ran into this week was I'm working with Unity, right? And I was working with the player model. We had a player model that was rigged and animated that was given to us by one of our modelers. She rigged it, unfortunately, wrong. So it's a common mistake. It happens to a lot of people, but it happens. And essentially, what was happening was I was trying to use the inverse kinematics with Unity, so that essentially can tell if how would I describe that? That tells if the bones are humanoid or of like a different kind of descent. So that way you're able to override the bones and the animations that are attached to the rig. And the rig is essentially the bones and the skeleton of a model, right? This is how you get all the animations in, you save them to the rig, and you sort of blend them into each other, and that's how they kind of work. I was trying to override the animation so I could have the player, like hold the sword, but that wasn't working because it couldn't read it as a humanoid, and I've never worked with anything other than a humanoid. I could Google it, but the lecturer said it was probably best for us to just redo it, see how we can do it properly, and make sure we don't fuck it up this time. And a lot of people don't know this about the game, actually. So some people think the game that we're making is just, you're a pirate, you're on a ship, you have to go and just raid another pirate ship. That's not it at all. It's a multiplayer game. So you are meant to battle with your friends, team up with your friends, and kind of loot each other's ships, destroy each other's ships, fight, battle, swing swords, shoot cannons. Like it's supposed to be really fun. There's supposed to be some there's a real competitive aspect to it as well in the late stages. And we have some stretch goals that are kind of, we want to have ranking systems, we want to have kind of perks and all that kind of typical multiplayer kind of things, trends that are going on right now. Just kind of work with them and experiment with them, see how fun we can make them, but that's not working. Well, it's not working right now. We're not doing it just yet. Of course, we're still in the early stages. We've been at this for about 2 months now. Not 2 months, maybe a little less than 2 months. It's almost 2 months now. And the game was going really well at the start, but we started getting into the multiplayer and the networking, and it's all an AI, and it's really starting to kind of slow down. And every week now is more kind of just a shove forward. We're kind of digging into the dirt a little bit. We started running, and now we're kind of just trying not to fall at the moment. But yeah, so one of the main issues we were having with this was that the player camera would always switch to the last player that joined the server. This was obviously a massive issue because if you were a host or you were the second or third player, you would not be able to play the game, right? The fourth player would. He was fine. He's like, yeah, great, I can run around, I can shoot you guys. Everyone will be seeing the game from his perspective, from his camera. The reason this was happening was because on the player controller script, I actually had a return condition, right? So if the player wasn't of local player authority, which is the player that's on your current computer, then it would return the value. Essentially, it would make everything else redundant. 1 second. But so what I did instead was I created a player setup script. In the script, I created the same condition. It's going to tell if the player is of local authority. And attach this to I attach this to every single player prefab and player that could be spawned in the game. So every player that spawns, they have this little player setup script that will run, and it will tell if the player is of local authority, so it's the local player. If it's not, then I created an array that I could, public array that I could just sort of like, you know, drop all the components I wanted to disable if I wasn't the local player in, and that's what it does. So if you're not the local player, then it essentially disables a bunch of components like the camera, like the listeners, like the controller, all the mechanics that you can use, your health, like all that kind of stuff. It's all disabled if it's not yours. So you only get to keep the stuff that belongs to you. What else? I was working with interpolation and sort of, you know, lerping movement and smoothing the game, because at the start it was really bad. Like, it was so jumpy and glitchy, but then, like, we've gotten over that a little bit. So essentially, it could also be described as a refresh rate, I think. So working with this, the issue we had, like, it's kind of straightforward enough. If you want to look up the tutorial, you can kind of look into it. But so that's pretty much what I did. I was looking at tutorials. I was reading up on the UDB API, seeing, like, you know, what I could do with this. And really, what's up right now is I'm using the, what's it called? It's called the network transform. And on the network transform, you can look for 3 or 4 different things. Okay, so you can look for the player's transform, which is essentially their position and rotation in the world in that engine. You can look for their rigid body 3D, rigid body 2D, and I can't remember what the third one is, but it doesn't matter. So you can look. The one I'm using right now is the rigid body 3D. Now, using this and interpolating this into the server is actually a lot faster than using the transform. However, whenever the player is colliding with something, it doesn't really read it that much. So when the player is jumping in the air, it's flawless. Like, it's really quick, like it's milliseconds in between. So that would be the perfect conditions for gameplay, except for when the player is walking or colliding with something. This was kind of solved when I was using the transform, right? So when the network transform was looking for the player's transform, what was happening was, yeah, it was getting the player's rotation, it was seeing where the player was, and it was fast enough. But the only problem was it was kind of glitching. It was really glitchy. Like, the player would be like clocking, like you could see the frames. You know, it's like a low frame rate, like maybe 15 frames, or maybe the player updated like 10 times a second. You could see that kind of like glitchiness. So whilst it could be used for the multiplayer, I actually don't really want to use it that much. So I want to look into it a little bit more. I was working with the water, so we have like a water texture that was given to us. We have a water animation as well on it and stuff like that. But really, what I was just going to do was I was going to use the water texture, put it on a plane, create a script that just essentially scrolls the texture, and it will scroll it forward and back, and that will be fine. That's all I need for the water. I don't really want people to focus on the water too much, and I do not want to spend enough time on the water, right? So it actually broke, so I crashed Unity while I was doing this. I think I tried something else. Like, I had an idea for something and I tried it, and it crashed Unity. And I didn't save what I was doing to the water or to any of the scrolling scripts. Well, the scripts were saved thanks to SourceTree. Shout out SourceTree, thank you for holding on to my files, keeping them safe. But the changes I made in Unity were not saved. This, I don't know what happened, or maybe I missed a step when I was doing it again, but however, the textures don't scroll anymore. Instead of scrolling, they actually smear. So this is really bad, it looks terrible. So at the moment, there's no animation for anything, like there's no scrolls for the textures. The water just doesn't move. It's actually just a massive like plane right now, it just looks blue. I don't know what's up with it. Like, it's not tileable at all anymore. It was when I got it, like it's the same texture, but it just doesn't work. So I'll look more into that this week, actually. Level design. So, funny thing, actually. So I created like this little map. I might throw it up on screen there. But I created a little map. It was kind of stupid. Everyone was like, "Is this what the map is really going to look like?" It's like, no, this is a plan for the first map, and it's called Ghoul Cove. So I did this up as well. And that was kind of like a fun little thing. I just kind of did it. We were discussing what we wanted the map to look like, and this is kind of what we decided on. Us as a team, like the level designers and the game designers, it's obviously the map is like a little cartoony thing. They kind of laughed when they seen it, but it's what we want the map to kind of look like. You know, we want it to be kind of balanced like that. We want a little perk in the middle that kind of heals you up if you need to. Also, it's something to fight about, or it's a place to meet and fight around. So that's what that's for. I also built it out in Unity. Actually, I could probably throw up a little. I'll see if I can do a little clip, or I'll throw up a screenshot there anyway. Like, bam. So it's really cool. I'm proud of it. It looks like a little old video game, which I really like. They thought I was joking when I gave it to them. Is this what it's going to be like? And it's like, no, there's no textures on it. Hasn't been refined. This isn't the final thing. This is like playground where we're going to practice and see if it works. Because I'm not going to do up and spend hours on a map that we're going to just throw out when we find out it doesn't work. So this is a tester, essentially. Also, yeah, I added a new sort of background main menu. I like working on UI because it's just relaxing, I think. I'm not working that advanced on UI, so we kind of just work on menus and buttons and doing them up. Like I get one of our artists to kind of just throw me in a bunch of sprites, and I'll just animate them in the menu and just sort of like, you know, make them work. And it's really fun. He just gave me a bunch of like sort of health UI, so health bars and stuff like that as well, which I'm going to throw into the game now as well, which is going to be fun. So that's pretty much what I was doing on UI, and that's most of it for this week actually. Not a lot has been done this week just because there's so many problems as well. Like it took a long while to get to work with the multiplayer, you know. But it's decent progress, you know. Any progress is good progress for me. So you know, we have a few weeks left. I think we have 3 weeks left until our set deadline, till the deadline we set as a team, and then we have about a month left until the deadline that, you know, we have to cut production, you know, for now. So anyway, guys, thank you for listening. If you're listening, this is going to be my kind of devlogs anyway, so I'm going to be putting them up regardless, just for myself, even just to go back on to see what was going on, and just to record everything I'm doing, because I'm doing it every week anyway. I'm writing out like a full page of stuff I've done, and this is kind of like a little breakdown to help myself even understand it a bit more. And also, if I can help other people understand it a bit more, it's obviously great. But yeah, thank you so much, and as usual, guys, catch you later.